Hello, 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 and welcome back to
A Little Birdie Told You.
I'm your host, Kristen Knight.
And I'm your host, Kelly Knight.
And today we're answering the question, why you cannot find love. So, for starters, I want to talk about why you can't find love, and the answer to that is because you're searching for love.
Yep.
When you're searching for love, you tend to notice that it repels. You end up finding
Lust.
and you end up finding other things that you're not looking for. You notice the times when you're looking for a relationship, you get the exact opposite. You're looking at hookups, somebody that just wants to have a nice time, or somebody that just wants to have fun and keep it fun and light. And I'm not saying that's wrong. That's not wrong at all. But when you're looking is usually when you don't find that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird, ironic thing because you'd think, oh, I'm looking for this, I'm going to find it, right? But that's just not how it works. Usually love shows up when you're not looking for it. And this is the reason why. Is because you're not investing enough time into yourself when you're searching for something else, putting a lot of friction against you and other people because you're trying to make other people fit that spot. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I think you're trying to you have this perfect picture, this fantasy of what love is and what finding love looks like. So you try to force everyone to fit that picture when you come in contact with them. Maybe you meet someone on social media or you meet someone, I don't know, on a dating app or in person. You say, oh, this has to be the one. We met this way. What is that called? A meet cute? Is that what people call it?
I have no clue.
Yeah, they say it like, oh, well, you know how people have this. Think of it for a second. I'm sure we all have this idealized fantasy of how you meet somebody.
Yeah.
Like this fantasy, oh, I meet this person this way. This is how I know when I've met that person, or this love, and this is like, it's that traditional outlook on something. And when someone doesn't meet that, you start getting a little upset or obsessed over them, trying to make them fit this picture, but yet they're not going to fit a picture that they weren't meant to fit. They're not going to match that puzzle that you've built for yourself and be that missing piece. If you can't make them fit initially, you can't make someone fit, they automatically will.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make people fit that picture. That's why you're not finding love. And when things don't work out, what do I always tell you? I'm like, it's like a checklist.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to somebody and you're like, oh, well, they're not, communicating. They don't put effort. Okay, well, check them off the checklist. They're not the person.
Especially though when you're looking for someone, especially relationship, I think a lot of us will sit there and be like, oh yeah, some of maybe your beliefs or the things that you find a red flag or things that you want in a relationship. If they don't do those, you're like, oh, it's fine, because you really just want to find that person already, when really as time goes on, I think you more realize what you really want in a relationship. No matter how many people you talk to, it starts to kind of dwindle down the things that you're like, okay, I like this in a person and I don't like this in a person. And when you sit there and you keep marking those things off on the checklist of things that you didn't like in a relationship, and you're letting that person fly by with them, it's not a good thing.
Bear with me when I say this, but going through experiences with different people leads you to that person.
Yeah.
So say you have to go through 10 people, which I really hope you don't, 10 people to find that person, then those are experiences that are going to teach you something. Just like you literally said, it's almost like you find qualities in that person that lead you to the thing that you want, or lead you to the person you want. Someone who has qualities that embody those qualities that maybe you found in another person. Maybe you like, this guy and you're talking to him on social media, and maybe he has a very calm demeanor, he's very calm, and you really like that about him. You're like, he's very calm, he's not pushy, he's just a calm guy, but then he's not loyal. You're like, well, I don't like that about him. He's not a loyal guy. But you want someone who's loyal. Well, he's not the right guy for you then. So don't stop trying to make him that guy for you. You're not going to find love in somebody that doesn't embody the love that you need. The love that you need might not be in that person.
Like they say, if you can't change the guy, change the guy. Meaning by, if you can't physically change somebody, the way that they see things or the way they want to act in a relationship, you can't change those, and they're not going to be able to really change you. So if you can't change them, just change the guy. You'll find another guy along the way. I mean, it might take a little bit, but you will.
You can't change someone at all.
No.
Try to change them, but you're not going to be able to. You're not going to change someone who's already naturally who they are. It's their character. You can't change the stripes on a zebra. They're already there. So if someone is going to embody that and they're going to be that way and they're displaying themselves to you, a guy that says, oh, I was always a cheating guy, I was always a player, isn't going to just change.
No.
That's his character. So stop looking for that in other people. But if you love yourself enough, maybe you wouldn't allow these types of people to enter your life and disrespect you. You have to love yourself to find the person that is naturally meant for you, the person that's going to gravitate towards you. And this is what I would recommend if you can't find love, is backing away from the spectrum of trying to find love and go into the spectrum of I'm in love with myself.
Yeah, find the things that you love and the things that keep you going and the things that keep you happy and the things that just keep you pushing, because eventually you will find somebody that loves you.
And it's interesting because when you love yourself an extreme and immense amount and you're invested in yourself, you have all these qualities you're looking for. And I don't mean this idealized picture. People have flaws, you know, but character traits maybe. Like I understand looking for somebody who's loyal, looking for someone who's respectful. Maybe they're a gentleman, or maybe they embody a characteristic of, you know, there's a love language that you love and you really resonate with. That's normal. Those are normal tendencies to have when making like character trait for this person that you want to be with. But people are going to have flaws. They're going to come with trauma. They're going to come with baggage. And maybe that person isn't going to be everything that you've ever assumed. You know, people do have flaws. But the thing is to align yourself with yourself. Because when you love yourself, when people do enter your life, you will say, okay, well, this isn't somebody I look at romantically. And it's funny because you'll be on that journey of going through things with yourself. And maybe you love yourself so much when that person does come along, like if initially you're not drawn to them in that way. Like, well, I love myself. I don't really need a relationship. I found the greatest love of all, and that's me. And they come in and you're like, ugh, like, oh, here's another one. Here's another guy that I've got to deal with. This, you know, they play these games. I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. I guess girls do it as well, okay? I'm not just saying, but I'm saying in our perspective. And you're sitting there like, all these people play all these games. I don't have time for this. And they come in, but they just keep showing up.
Yeah.
And they keep putting the effort in. And you're like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And that ends up being the person. Because when you love yourself enough, you'll go through all these people and say, I don't want a relationship. And I know you know what I'm talking about. I don't want a relationship. It's what you say. And then the person comes in and they're like, well, they make me ready. You know, and sometimes people break up with people because they say, I'm not ready. And maybe it's not that they're not ready, but that person's not the person making them ready. Sometimes somebody will come in and you say, I'm not ready for something. But then all of a sudden they get in a relationship a week later with somebody and they're like, oh, I'm ready. Sometimes it's about the person that enters your life. Sometimes people can change you. And sometimes people can make you feel ready for something that you thought you weren't ready. And if you find yourself putting yourself out there, trying to get in a relationship, trying to find love and you can't, well, maybe you're not that person for somebody. And don't look at yourself in a negative way because of that. Don't have a negative self-perception and criticize yourself and say, oh, well, I guess I'm, you know, not ready for love and nobody loves me. Don't say that about yourself, because no one's going to love you if you tell yourself no one loves you. I mean, you're not going to find a significant other going out here and saying, nobody loves me. I have all this self-pity for myself and nobody wants to be with me. Well, guess what? Nobody is going to want to be with that if you act like that. You think you're going to attract a good quality partner if you're sitting around having all this self-pity about yourself?
I think another thing, though, is when you're somebody that sits there, maybe, I don't know if you post or just you keep telling people you hate being single. I think when you finally accept that you're fine being single and you love yourself and you're just confident enough to be like, yeah, I'm good where I'm at, that's when somebody will just walk right in the door and be like, oh yeah, like, oh, I like you, like you whatever. And you're just like, well, I don't really want a relationship right now. And it's like,
there's no rush to find love, though. When someone is meant to cross your path, they will. And I think that's one thing that a lot of us can misinterpret, is that you don't need to find love.
No.
You don't need to find a relationship. You don't need to find it. It will find you at that right time in your life. Just go about your life loving yourself. And I know that's one of the most cliche things to say, is everyone's like, self-love this, self-love that. No,
but it's
truly fall in love with who you are. Fall in love with yourself. Not in an odd way, not in some weird way. And maybe you are acting a little weird and that's why people don't want to be in a relationship with you, okay?
Oh my.
I'm just kidding. But maybe you're out here putting a lot of pressure on people and not giving them space. As I said, you're trying to manipulate them into being that idealized person for yourself. But if you're sitting there doing that and you're acting all pushy, a lot of people are not going to want to be in a relationship with you. Imagine if someone's doing that to you.
Like I like to say, as an example, I like chocolate cake, so we're just going to use this. But anyways, I like chocolate cake, right? Would I want it every day? No. That is like looking at a guy and saying, would you want to like I don't even know. I guess just like not have space, but like have them be around you every single second of the day. No, you wouldn't. Everybody wants space and everything, like everything needs space in life. Like if you don't have space, you're not going to be able to like sit there and just live. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, oh, you had to sit there and like play a bunch of people. That's not what I'm saying. But when you are in a relationship, you shouldn't be like 24/7 around each other. You know what I'm saying?
But if you're acting like you're in a relationship with somebody just in the talking stage, or just when you're in the initiation of dating somebody, and you're like, I can't find
They're
love.
going to be like, whoa, what is it going to be like when I am in a relationship with them? I think a lot of girls do that though. Like girls are very like, I'm sure guys are like
emotional.
this, but like
they're very emotional.
Yeah. I think a lot of girls get like emotionally attached to guys right away, and it makes the guy very uncomfortable, and like to the point where they're like, okay, how is she gonna be when I am in a relationship with her, or if I do get in a relationship with her? Like, girls, you guys need to really like really know where you are at that point, because guys will start questioning that. Same for girls though. Like if you're a guy and you're very pushy, or you just like right away you're like, oh well, when are we gonna begin in a relationship? Like where do you see this going? Guys, just like let it flow how it's supposed to go. Both of you are not going anywhere. I mean, unless somebody is talking to multiple people and they decide to get in another relationship, that's a different question. But nobody's going anywhere. I mean, just focus on you and let it flow where it needs to go. If you were meant to be with that person, they're going to end up being with you someday. So
exactly. And I recommend going about a talking stage as your friends that kind of have a little bit of a liking towards each other. Maybe friends that find each other attractive. Because there is no guarantee that that person's not talking to multiple people.
Or that it's going to work out.
Or that it's going to work out. So why become emotionally invested into something when you can just go about it as, oh, we're friends, we kind of like each other, we kind of talk? Because a lot of girls become emotionally invested and they end up hurting themselves in the process because they put all this energy into this one person when they could have just allowed themselves to love themselves, maybe talk to other people, gain some experiences, when this guy is probably doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Guys don't allow themselves to get attached to us girls. They allow themselves to kind of have a little bit of a fresh air and enjoy a little bit of everyone. And I'm not saying that's the right thing, but it's what they do until they say, oh, I'm committed to you. And sometimes even when they're committed to you, they do the exact same thing. But don't allow yourself to become emotionally invested in something that has no guarantee. That could have an expiration date and it might not last. And nothing may not last, to be quite honest with you. But don't become emotionally invested and put all your energy into that. Because when you put all this energy into it, something that's just a talking stage with no guarantee, you're showing that person or revealing that person that you don't have other options. That's why you're not finding love, is you're showing them, I don't have other options. You're my only option. I'm putting everything into you.
Yeah.
And some people like to look at that as, oh, that's so romantic. Like I've seen multiple examples of this where like, in the talking stage, I'm devoted to you. And, like what are those little like these clips and stuff about I'm devoted to somebody in the talking stage. It hurts when they're not. You're in the talking stage.
Yeah. That
That does not guarantee that you were to stay with that person. The talking stage, as the modern day like to classify it, is just a stage where you get to know a person a little bit. You maybe talk to them a little bit, get to know them. But it's not a relationship. There is no commitment. So stop trying to force commitment. When you force something, it pushes a lot of people away. Pushes them away because you're not allowing them to explore their options. As you just said, if somebody is meant to be yours, you were meant to be together, you will find your way together. Allow them to go talk to other people and allow that person to figure out what they want, and you figure out what you want, because you might not even like them. So you might say, oh, well, I don't want to waste my time on this because I might not even like them.
And another thing, though, is a lot of people want to, like, rush to talking stage just to get in a relationship with someone when, there is a reason for that. You were supposed to get to know that person. Because just put it this way, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that talking stage didn't work out, or that situationship, whatever, didn't work out. Well, put it this way, sometimes it's like a blessing in disguise, because imagine something went wrong during the talking stage and you did find out that they were talking to like multiple people, or maybe they already had a girlfriend, I don't know. Imagine if you did get in a relationship with them and you had to already prolong that whole time that you were with them, and then all of a sudden they did something stupid that you were like, oh, I really should have got to know this person before that.
Or imagine becoming so emotionally invested in a talking stage that they one day just wake up and say, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore, or they just completely ghost you.
Yeah.
And you were so emotionally invested in something, like I said, had no guarantee. Don't do that to yourself.
No.
Another thing, you might not be finding love because you carry all your past and your baggage with you into talking stages of relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe you mention your ex, or you talk about your past traumas, or you bring up everything that person doesn't need to know. Sometimes the things that you've gone through don't need to be revealed to everyone else. You don't need to tell the guy that you're talking to on social media, or the guy that you just met at the park, or the guy that you just met at that restaurant, everything about your past. Okay?
That's stuff that I think you should keep to yourself, like especially just things like with your ex or anything. Nobody needs to know that. It's not going to hurt if they don't know it. Unless you actually are committed with them for like a little while and they end up bringing it up, that's a different scenario. But I wouldn't sit there being like, oh yeah, my ex did this or my ex did that. Like, nobody needs to know about Bruno, okay?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about
Yeah, nobody
Bruno.
needs to talk about Bruno.
We just don't need to do that because, first of all, sometimes you don't reveal everything about yourself initially, okay? And the right person is not going to look down on you for your past, okay? You can't change your past, but you can change your future, right? And the right person is not going to criticize you for that. And I'm not saying it's bad to tell people about this stuff, but don't do it initially.
Yeah.
You know, an initial impression is just about revealing yourself. When you talk about your ex as your initial impression, it shows, oh, I'm still hung up on my ex. I talk about my ex because I still have feelings for him, and every new relationship I get into reminds me of them. That's what it's telling them. So why would you do that? You want to make an impression. I love myself. I care about myself. You know, I do X, Y, and Z, and these are the things that I do. And what do you like to do? You know what I mean? Don't bring in conversations about the past or other people that aren't associated with you and that person.
Yeah.